Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/JustNoMil. In today's episode, DH and I got into a bad accident. Is it time to cut of MIL? Still in bed healing from an accident and MIL strikes again, bringing her own grandkid into it. After car accident and MIL drama, it only got worse. She really showed her craziness this time. MIL showed up today, and what she told my husband made me laugh so hard. MIL strikes again and may lose her only grandchild. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. DH and I got into a bad accident. Is it time to cut of MIL? Last night a diesel ran a red light and hit our truck. The truck is a goner. We were both wearing our seatbelts, so it could have been worse. While I was being checked out by the medics, my MIL showed up. Now you'd think, hearing your son and his wife were just in a bad accident, that you'd be a little worried. After being done getting checked out, I got into her car, and she didn't say hi, didn't even ask if I was okay. Just started ranting about how back in '95 the government changed some law about narcotics. Yeah, the conversation started out with her ching about not getting her pain meds like she's used to, while her son and I were just in a bad car accident. The adrenaline was still pumping, so I wasn't in much pain yet. Once the truck got towed, we headed home, and the conversation was so uncomfortable, she couldn't keep her story going without throwing in two more stories, which had me all confused. And then she started yelling at my husband for driving out there at that time of night. It was about 8 p.m. and we drive out to the country every night. She said, "I bet you were speeding too, right? Going about 35 miles per hour in a 55. It was very foggy," but she wouldn't listen. When we got home, I was just starting to feel the pain, so I went straight upstairs and started a hot bath. And I guess since I was out of earshot, all the hate got thrown at me. I'm an alcoholic. When my BIL told me I'd be better off with him, was my fault. She's left you before, just blah blah. Yes, I drank a lot after my brother died suddenly, but I don't anymore. Her other son hitting on me was my fault because, well, she shouldn't dress like that. And yes, I did leave for a couple weeks once, and I'm happy I did. There was so much more said, some really hurtful things towards both of us. My husband rarely cries, and I know it's because he's thinking about just cutting her off. I'll support whatever he decides to do. And honestly, I don't think I can overlook her behavior. I mean, the woman is a retired RN, and she never even asked if either one of us was okay. It just felt like being punished and belittled for being in an accident that couldn't have been stopped. I just want to know, would this be enough for others to cut the cord? We've tried so much with this woman, still trying to get her hoarding in control, still take her calls that last hours and ramble on. But I don't know if I respect her anymore after this. Sorry for the rant, I just wanted to get this off my chest. The bride at every wedding, the baby at every shower, the corpse at every funeral, and now the victim at every accident. Funny you should say that. She was pissed when she found out we just got married on a whim in Tahoe, same place my parents got married. My mom and family were a little upset, but they got to watch the video and see pictures and were happy for us. Our son's baby shower, she was acting weird, so that got a lot of attention. I've luckily never been to a funeral with her. My husband hates them. He wants the last memory of the person to be something good, not them in a box. And when his grandpa died, we parked outside the funeral home and about a block away from the burial. Oh, he got hell for that. Yeah, she did turn herself into a victim. Most of the ride home was about a stalker she had in the 70s. It is time. It is reasonable. It enough. You have done enough. It needs to be done. You will not regret it. Best of luck. Document those injuries and see medical professionals immediately. Thank you so much. Something about the way you wrote that out, it was like someone was smacking me in the back of the head. LOL, time to throw in the towel. Oh, I always have my camera with me, so I got some good pictures of the wreck and have been taking pictures off all the bruises. Seatbelts hurt and I'm all bruised up, but pretty sure it saved my life. MIL sounds like she can never be outshone. When there's a car crash, she has to be the bigger train wreck. Oh man, that made me laugh. thanks. I really needed that.
It sounds to me, from this post and your other one, like she views your, plural, role in her life as receptacle for her bile. She may be bleeding off her general upsetness at the chaos and slow winding down of her life by spewing all this crap at y'all at every opportunity. Note that doing this takes the pressure off her emotions without requiring scary things like admitting that she's not fully in control or committing to work, edit, that may be uncomfortable or not offer instant relief on a schedule she decided. You, plural, don't have to sit around for that. You, singular, don't have to talk to her or be in the same room with her.
Your husband's actions are his to decide.
This goes beyond cutting the cord, darling. This is reason enough to never speak to her again. You both could have died, and she responds with anger and abusing you. If this is her trauma response to nearly losing her son in DIL, she has major therapy to go through before she's fit to be around you both again.
I'm so sorry, I'm glad you're okay now. That must have been terrifying, and you deserve to be treated with the utmost tender care.
Thank you so much, not in the clear yet, still need to go see the doctor, pretty sure both of us have whiplash. Her response really shocked me, and her being a retired RN, I thought she would have had more compassion. And considering her husband/my husband's father was killed by a diesel. Your Mel is obviously an addict, saw your situation, and immediately thought about how much medication you'd have been written in the mid to late 90s. What a peach. Oh yeah, she is. All she complains about is her pain meds. But she won't get up and do the exercises that could help with the pain.
You can't just cover it up forever, you know?
She's been popping pills as long as I've known her, and my husband said she always has.
Yeah, the amount of pills they threw at people back then was sick. And now so many people are watching their older relatives deal with the backlash of it. Just sad. In the next post,
the mill endangered Opie's life by what she did when she called the hospital.
You may be in shock from the accident for quite a while, weeks, anyway. There are therapists and body workers who work specifically with those who survive accidents. I found them very helpful, and I still got totally regressed 2 months after the accident. Also, follow up with your regular doctor after ER care. It was his regular doctor who really looked at my husband's ER X-ray and saw that his wrist was broken. Soft tissue injuries can take time to manifest as well. Ask me how I know.
I hope you can listen to your body and be alert for signs of physical and/or emotional trauma. You get in a wreck and it's all about her, and abusing you for inconveniencing her. She has shown you who she is. Why are you in contact with someone who thinks so little of you and your partner? A big part of me wants to keep her around because she's the only mother-like figure I have left. But I really can't deal with the stress anymore. It was at an annoying level before the accident. Now I just know how she really feels, so I'm going to slowly back away until I'm full and see. My husband and son can choose they want. I'm not going to push them towards anything. My dad was jolted out of the fog due to an accident. His mom didn't come see him in the ICU for 3 weeks. Obviously not the same weight, but the situation is similar. It's fine to cut off people who don't care about you. OMG, that's horrible. Maybe I'm just a big OL baby, but if I knew our son was in an accident, I'd be flipping out. It's crazy how the person that made the decision to bring you into this world has such disregard for you. Did your husband cut his mom off? Wow, what an awful mother. Still in bed healing from an accident, and MIL strikes again, bringing her own grandkid into it. Ugh, I didn't think I'd be posting any MIL stories for a while, or at least I hope so. This wonderful little gem happened a couple hours ago. I was sleeping, which has been rough because of pain, and then add in my insomnia. DH lifted up the blackout curtains, which immediately woke me up. Now he never wakes me up unless it's important, and the look on his face made me think, OMG, someone died. So I went from sleep to anxiety so fast. Then he just said, our son told me you were having affairs with multiple guys. I laughed and told him I let our son use my laptop all the time, and yeah, he probably saw some messages I've gotten. I've told DH and showed him that I get random D***ck pics all the time. It's annoying, but an easy fix, just report and block. I left it at that, told him to please just let me rest, we will talk later. Of course I wasn't going back to sleep. Once I got up and was doing what I always do to start getting ready, I heard a bunch of screaming, kind of muffled though. DH was in the garage on the phone with his mom. Once he got off the phone, he told me he was so sorry, and he can't believe he was thinking about leaving. I'm just confused now. Nope, my son never said one thing to my husband about me. My husband talked to his mom hours earlier and she told him our son said that. Our son told us he didn't and had no idea what she was talking about. I think she really needs help, he said. She sounded high as a kite and couldn't keep her years right, not days. I decided to separate myself from this BS, but really bringing my son into like that? Now I'm really considering restricting her ability to see him. I don't care if he is her only grandchild, she's actively trying to sabotage our family. But why? 'Cause I didn't go home with her other son, golden child. Yeah, that was a big part of their fight too. Sorry venting on your guys again, I don't know what I'd do without this place, TBH, it's helped me so much. She almost made him consider leaving you. That to me would be the last straw. Only grandchild or not, if she loved her grandchild and her son, she would love you and would not start school level drama like this at a time where you're vulnerable and don't need this crap. Don't tolerate it. She knew what she was doing, only sorry to have been caught. Mom, you lied to me. You involved my son in your lie. Your goal was to break up my marriage and family. I see no value of maintaining a relationship with you. In attempting to destroy my family, you only succeeded in destroying your and my relationship. My family will be blocking you on our phones and social media. So, your MIL said all these things in the first place to your so. He believed it, woke you up and confronted you when you were sleepy, vulnerable and in pain, and pretended that his source was your son and not his mother. And only when you could prove that you did not do anything wrong he talked to your son, but left you wondering why your child would tell such lies. Your MIL is not your biggest problem right now, and your son needs to realize that he needs to make this right, and it won't happen by itself. If after this BS your husband wants to maintain contact with his mother, then you have a so problem. This would be the last straw. She convinced your husband to leave you and your son with her self-serving lies. She was willing to inflict pain on your son while blaming him for this utter nonsense. I as an adult will take a lot but mess with my kid. My son is 22, and I will go full on Rambo on you. He hasn't talked to her since he called her back and pretty much yelled at her. I haven't asked if she's called him, but I wouldn't doubt she's been blowing up his phone. I've been trying not to go full Rambo, lol. I'm still in a lot of pain and all this stress hasn't made it any better. So I'm trying so hard to be the calm one. Which is unlike me, I'm the anxiety stress ball most of the time. I'm sorry, but yes, you should blame your DH for some of this. He was ready to up and leave you as you are recovering from a car accident with no proof that you were having an affair because his mother said your son said so? Where is the trust your DH should have with you? Block MIL and go and see immediately where your son is concerned. This cannot be ignored. Oh, I was pissed and still kind of am. But I let most of it go. We've had our ups and downs, I've left before. So I can see why he got all in his own head and went from 0-100 like he did. We've talked about and will continue to, and mostly likely bring in a counselor to move past this mess. Oh, right, when I woke up and we talked I gladly showed him my messengers and he calmed way down. And you are right, this can't be ignored. I'm worried about what her next dang move might be. This, right here, would be the final straw and my hill to die on. Jamil was way out of line triangulating a child into her bullshit. Hell no to that. Can't upvote this enough. 100% I'm fine with you running my name through the mud because I know where I stand and I've done nothing wrong. But really? Your only grandchild, throwing him in there to be more believable. Just wow and ouch. I'm so happy he's old enough to understand what happened, but sad that he is old enough to understand, because even though he knew grandma was a little off, now he's going to look at her a lot differently, and she put it all on herself this time.
Can't weasel out or blame anyone else. Your hubby needs Al-Anon stat.
There are meetings everywhere and at all times, and on Zoom.
Do it with him. Folded hands sending love to your family. It will help him learn how to disconnect from the extremely messed up codependent dynamic addicts create with their families. I'll have to look that up. Thanks, I never even thought about that.
You've got huge so problems if he was about to leave you over something his mom said before even talking to you.
Dude needs help.
We are working on it. I told him I forgive him, and if I were in the same situation I'd probably do something similar.
But then again, my mom wouldn't have pulled BS like that. Now I'm really considering restricting her ability to see him.
She weaponized your son against you, turned your husband against you, and you're only considering restricting her ability to see him?
If her coming that close to getting your husband to leave you doesn't warrant and see, what would? After car accident and MIL drama, it only got worse.
She really showed her craziness this time.
I've already made a post about my MIL and her craziness.
To all that, read my last post I made about her that told me to go see a doctor I should have gone earlier, ended up going. Better late than never, right? I just got out of the hospital earlier today, and there is some serious damage, nothing that can't be reversed so far, waiting to see a specialist soon. So on to what happened that cemented the fact she's pretty much dead to me now. I went into urgent care. The DR there said, go to the ER immediately. So I did. X-rays, MRIs and plenty of tests later, I was laying in a hospital bed. Then I was taken to have 2.5 liters of fluid taken from my abdomen and more tests, being loaded full of 4 fluids/meds, taking a ton of pills. The accident caused liver and gallbladder, GI tract damage. I was admitted on Christmas Eve, first Christmas away from my husband and son in 17 years.
Everything was going smoothly, painful though, until the day after Christmas. I noticed the head nurse and other nurses avoiding me and just acting odd.
I thought, hey, it's the holidays, they are overworked, Miss Family.
Nope. My room phone rings and it's my freaking MIL. My husband mentioned wanting to take me to the hospital, so she literally tracked me down. I was like, WTF, I don't need this stress, as she lectured me about what I was going through, something she didn't even know fully about. But hey, since she's a retired RN, she knows it all right? Once I hung up on her after she pretty much shamed me and made it all about her pain, I never answered the phone again, just told my husband I'd call him. She must not have liked that. The reason the head nurse and other nurses were being odd? Not giving me pain meds or my anxiety meds?
Why all of a sudden the doctor kept asking me about how much I drink and what stage of withdrawal I'm in, even though I was already there for a couple days and not under the influence at all. Should have been obvious, because they drew my blood every couple hours. I was so confused by this. I gave them my medical history, which I did admit that from 19 to 24 I drank heavily after I lost my brother and mom, but stopped years ago, and smoked pot sometimes because of endometriosis. But it just kept being brought up until it finally all came together. One of the night nurses, who was super awesome, came into my room and said, some crazy lady just called the nurses station again. She said she knows you and can't get a hold of you. And she told me that you are, number 1, crazy and need to be highly sedated, and a hardcore drinker/drug user. Then I guess she started talking about her animals and the neuropathy in her feet. Luckily this nurse saw right past all the BS and blocked her from being able to call me, and had a warning placed for other workers in case she called again. I don't even want to think about the fact she showed up on Christmas to our house and literally lectured our son about staying away from booze and drugs or he'd end up like me. My kid, who has never spent a holiday away from me, scared AF because we didn't know what was going on with me yet. I was beyond and still am pissed to the point of I can't see/talk to this woman because I don't know how I'll react. I was barely home an hour after being in the hospital for 5 days. Laying upstairs in bed after a hot bath. Couldn't get wet in the hospital because of my heart monitor. And I heard, necrokamikaze, get down here. WTF, she just let herself in? My son told her to go home because I was resting.
I'm just lost, honestly.
This nutcase put my health at risk by calling the hospital like that, and I'm not just mad at her, I'm pissed at the nurse for listening to hearsay and neglecting my medical needs as well. I was withheld meds, one of them being my anxiety meds.
But seriously, what a Christmas right. What should I do? Get a dang restraining order against MIL or something?
I feel so bad for my husband because it finally hit him when I got home that his family isn't going to be the same anymore because of her BS, but she dug her hole, in my opinion. What she did before was bad enough. But this is just beyond my forgiveness level, and I'm having friends and family telling me I should get legal help involved.
This is a huge rant, but also I just want to know, how the heck would others feel if they were in the same situation? Am I accurate? Piece asterisk head off? Should I be more? I mean, it all hasn't hit me yet, and when it does, I'm scared I'll blow up.
I'm sorry if this is a bit of a ramble. I haven't slept very well and I just feel like I'm in some crazy dream right now. Every hospital has a patient care complaint team.
Contact them and tell them what happens.
Then call the cops.
Meddling in medical care is one of those lines that should never be crossed. That's a direct threat to your well-being, and by extension that of your family. Going NC should be the default response. Restraining orders are entirely proper. Get down here? No. Just no.
I would start with a restraining order. Then I would go to the head of the hospital or the corporation that owns it and explain to them what happened and why the nurses were willing to take some crazy woman's advice over the phone, which could have affected you adversely. Then I would go completely non-contact. Once you have told her not to come to your house and she steps foot on the property, you can have her arrested for trespassing.
That'll be quicker than trying to get a restraining order, which will take a few days. Get an attorney who specializes in malpractice claims.
Have him file a claim against the hospital for all this. What this will do is allow for any false records to be expunged from your file.
This will basically tighten up the system as it should be. That's the very least that you want.
At the most, whatever the lawyer does for you.
Note:
you just complaining to the hospital with what's falsely in your file, the complaint probably won't go very far because concerned people can call.
Not a lawyer, but served on a jury in a medical hospital malpractice suit. Oh, the things you learn. Now on to the MIL.
What she did was way beyond the bounds of any decent behavior. It's completely egregious conduct.
It caused you harm and unnecessary pain. She has to be completely NC with you and any children. Absolutely beyond a question.
She tried to and succeeded in interfering with your medical care. They gaslit you in not going to the hospital by minimizing your pain and "oh, I'm all right."
Well, you weren't. Not at all.
At the minimum, a cease and desist letter.
At the minimum. DH immediately ceases any and all communication about anything to do with you with her. Any questions are answered, she's fine, and I'm not talking about her. Any questions from his family is answered the same.
He spends all holidays with you. He sees her on his own if he decides to see her at all.
Not only is she dead to you,
but you are dead to her.
Lock down all SM if she has access. Lock down kids SM.
There's no going back on a woman who did destroy your reputation and ruin getting competent care in a hospital while you were almost dying. Because you don't spend that many days in a hospital unless you were very ill, especially right now these days when hospitals are overwhelmed with the COVID cases. I would definitely say get legal help and report the nurses who withheld your medication based on hearsay.
Not only those nurses,
but also the doctor as well.
Please change your locks right away. She tried to mess with your medical history while you were in the hospital.
She used the fact that she is a retired RN to push her false narrative. She's gone beyond just making things difficult for you, she's dangerous. You need to talk to an attorney, the hospital needs to be dealt with, and so does she.
I'm so sorry.
I agree with everyone saying to hire an attorney to send a cease and desist letter, get a restraining order for both your son and yourself, contact the hospital to determine how your emergency contact was changed, why she had input in your medical care, who accessed your records that wasn't on your medical team, if her friends accessed your records, what is documented in your file regarding drugs and alcohol. I'd also change your locks, add a ring camera, let your son know that she is no longer allowed any information about you or your child. If he chooses to stay in contact with her, after she actively sabotaged your health and recovery, that he is never to allow her near you.
I'd advise counseling for him.
Long term, I would move away honestly and not let her know where you moved.
I'm sure your son wants to stay in contact with the remaining people in his family, but they enable her.
She is actively trying to hurt you, please take action to ensure she isn't able to.
Internet hugs and external validation.
She lied to the medical staff. It sounds like they withheld pain meds and her plan was to explicitly keep you under-medicated and in pain because just no.
I am so sorry.
I would file a complaint with the hospital for listening to some person in the phone instead of the patient, making decisions based on non-medical reasons, and causing you pain.
What if you were diabetic? If some voice on the phone said you weren't, would they have withheld insulin?
Please call your doctor's offices, tell them what happened, that your nutjob JustNoMil lied to the hospital multiple times, and you need a password on your records.
HIPAA is your friend here. Can you change your locks? Can you call the police, tell them your JustNoMil is lying to doctors and your child, breaking into your home, and you are concerned she is escalating?
She might do a wellness check or accuse you of drug crimes with a minor in the house. That is sadly the situation she created, where her delusions are destroying her family.
You didn't cause this.
It is her and her just no mind. It's time for a lawyer and all the nuclear options. Lawyer to file a formal complaint on the hospital for withholding care and delaying treatment, causing you to likely stay longer in the hospital. Demand all medical records from this visit and formal statements with anyone who had any part of your care, from doctors to nurses to the person who brought you lunch. There it will come out the only one who was on your side was the night nurse. Depending on what a lawyer finds in those records and statement, it may be to the level a suit for neglect may be necessary, as they withheld/delayed care based on lies and not vetting them properly. When this process is all over with, send that nurse a thank you note. Lawyer also either does a cease and desist or restraining order. This is really restraining order worthy, and you'll have the evidence based on the above. See also if the lawyer recommends reaching out to a district attorney to see if what this monster's actions did were criminal in nature.
New phone numbers for you, so and kid. Cameras with cloud saving options for if she tries to show up to keep a paper trail.
I think you and so also need to see a therapist to at least unpack this incident. Maybe your kid as well. This was a traumatic event, and from the read of it isn't over yet based on her actions. I'd also recommend individual therapy for your son to help grieve the relationship with his mom that's lost likely. Hopefully he's going scorched earth on your behalf as well.
I wish you well. Mael showed up today, and what she told my husband made me laugh so hard.
The locks have been changed, she can't just come in. She's allowed in the driveway though, because she's always getting things for our son.
My husband went out to talk to her.
And well, I don't know about all the conversation, but my husband just told me that her golden child, my BIL, hasn't called her in weeks. I guess she pulled the "you are just like my brother" same thing that she's told me husband for years. It really pisses him off, and I guess it did the same to BIL. UIL is our neighbor, he's an alcoholic/pill popping hoarder just like her. Well, BIL did not like this. Even though he does have a past of hoarding, he got help and is doing good now. I guess he yelled at her, "No, you are just like him, I can't deal with this crap anymore." Well, now she's heard it from both her kids, maybe she'll listen and get the help she needs.
I know I shouldn't have laughed, but I couldn't help it.
Just wanted to update. This is the first thing I've heard about her since I came home from the hospital. I'm glad you got the locks changed and karma is finally catching up to her.
Question: did you manage to find out at the hospital why they stopped giving you pain meds and treatment? Yeah, me too. But the woe is me coming is probably going to be epic.
If the night nurse that talked to me was right about her calling and the comments she made, they were waiting for me to go through withdrawal. I probably should have figured that one out when the doctor kept asking me to put my hands out, looking for tremors, I'm sure.
Which I didn't have because I'm not addicted to anything.
So I just sat in bed for a couple days in a ton of pain for no reason. It was even a struggle to get my anxiety meds for a couple days. In the end, they must have seen through it because the doctor gave me a prescription for it.
We are reading well. Bill did not like this, in Chelsea Hart's voice, right? Immediately where my mind went. Didn't intend to, but after listening to her now I hear it, lol.
But what came of her interfering with your medical needs at the hospital last month?
Don't tell me you just let that slide. I've been putting myself getting better, number one.
I did just email a handful of lawyers though, so hopefully I hear back from one soon.
It still amazes me that they didn't listen to you or your husband. I hope you at least file a complaint with the hospital's CEO or board. Glad you're okay.
I just read your backstory and am so glad you're taking care of yourself by avoiding her.
Honestly, after the hospital incident, I think a RO would be good, but maybe not possible without direct threat?
I dunno, narcissistic crazy only seems to worsen with age, and it seems that the ones with miserable lonely lives are the ones who know it all, and you should follow their advice and be like them.
Hard pass.
Yeah, I really don't need the stress that comes with that woman. When I saw her car outside, my nose immediately blew up like I was punched, blood everywhere.
So nope, staying away from that mess.
Yeah, she's so stuck in the past, it's all she used to talk about. Repeat. Ugh. It's just crazy at that age she hasn't figured out that she's the issue, not everyone else. I am so glad you changed your locks. That is a really strong boundary that she now knows about. I would go further and block her from parking in your driveway, but I am kind of vindictive that way. She is turning on the love to your DH to try and turn him into her minion to get her other son back in line.
Hopefully he won't fall for it. I am glad you are on the mend.
Yeah, and she noticed it too, but my son's key broke off in the lock.
So I was like, if that isn't a freaking sign, I don't know what is.
LOL, yeah, she did ask him to talk to him for her. His brother, the guy that told me I'd be better off with him and called my husband a loser when he was like 50 foot away from him.
Not going to happen, that was 2 years ago and they still haven't talked. Thanks. I can't wait to be 100%, and if I'm not able, well, I'll take what I can get, just happy to be alive. My MIL is a hoarder and I totally 100% understand how and why. Back in the 1970s a dam broke and flooded her entire town. It was really bad, everyone lost everything.
Fast forward about 50 plus years, she now hangs on to expired over-the-counter medication and old prescription medications.
The house looks neat and clean, but for fuck's sake, do not open a closet, a drawer, or a cupboard.
I call that whitened sepulcher housekeeping.
Electrician here. Wires don't get mixed up.
That's ridiculous. I'm assuming you live in a house, frozen pipes.
So the electricity will be coming to your house after a meter.
If they switch lines on a high voltage pole because of maintenance or whatever, the electricity would still have to travel through your meter. In the event it's an apartment, each living space has their own meter, usually depending on local codes ECT.
He's wrong. Ops wrong post. I needed that laugh.
Sometimes laughter is a form of stress release and not the inappropriate emotion we mistake it for sometimes. I needed it. When I saw her car in the driveway, boom, immediate nose bleed like it looked I got punched in the nose. I haven't had a stress nose bleed since my brother died. So I know just the sight of her car negatively messes with me.
The laugh felt good. I hope I get more like it.
After almost 18 years, Lord knows I deserve it, lol. Nothing wrong with laughing at these creeps when the reality of their situation pops up and bites a chunk off their asses.
So true. It felt good. I don't think I've laughed like that in years. JustNoMil strikes again and may lose her only grandchild. Warning: domestic abuse is mentioned in this post.
I told my husband 45M and our son 17M that they can talk to her all they want, just please do not mention me to her.
Everything has been fine since I cut her out of my life in January.
Until yesterday, our kiddo was playing basketball with his friend at the park by her house, so he decided to stop by and say hello to her and ask for something to drink.
My MIL is a hoarder, so I've told my kid to not go into her house because it is dangerous.
While his friend and him were waiting for her to grab a couple drinks out of the house, they were talking about a YouTube video where a Karen got punched in the face by a guy after she attacked him. I don't think MIL even knows what YouTube is or about the Karen memes/videos. She just overheard my son telling his friend, "Well, yeah, I understand why he hit her, I'd probably do the same." My MIL was married to a druggie that had a DA background that she was well aware of. We all warned her that one of these days he was going to beat her or possibly kill her. She didn't listen because, in her words, "I'm a nurse, we nurture and care, I can change him." He beat her almost to death, she lost an eye and had brain swelling. So DA is a touchy subject with her, which is completely understandable. She charged up to my son, got in his face and told him to hit her, since he thinks it is okay to hit a woman. My kid and his friend were both shocked and tried to explain what they were talking about, and she only heard the end of the conversation, but she wasn't having it and started screaming at them. Kiddo called and asked to please come pick him up because grandma is going nuts again. Since then she has called over 100 times, filled up the voicemail box, started calling and leaving messages on my kid and his friends' phones. My poor husband has been trying his best to avoid her because it always ends in an argument with her. It's past 3 a.m. and I can hear him yelling on the phone to her. She won't stop calling our son disrespectful and saying he needs to apologize to her. My son wants to cut her out of his life after this, and he has asked my opinion on it, but I think my opinion is biased due to the fact I've already cut her out of my life.
Should I tell him to just say sorry to her, even though he didn't do anything wrong?
He only has one grandparent left and it's her. I don't want him to regret it if something were to happen to her, but I also understand that he doesn't need this drama in his life. He is almost an adult, so he is going to have to learn how to make tough decisions on his own, and this is a big one. Update: when I wrote this out last night, my husband was still on the phone with his mom, and this is what ended up happening. He was mostly in the garage on the phone, so he didn't wake up our kid and his friend, and a couple times he ended up screaming. This got one of our neighbors to call the cops. I'm not mad at them for that, they did the right thing. Well, I heard my husband call my name and I went downstairs and he was still on the phone and pointed at the front door and mouthed something to me. I didn't understand, so I just looked out the peephole and there was a couple police officers standing there.
I was thinking, great. She called the cops on me. I walked out to talk to them.
And I knew something was up when they asked me to walk all the way out to their vehicle. The first thing I was asked was if I was okay. Not going to lie, with all the drama going on, I broke down and started crying and told them, I can't believe she would call the cops on me. They looked confused, and that is when it all came out.
Them coming because the neighbor thought there was a domestic dispute going on.
When my husband answered the door and walked out to talk to them, he told them he was arguing with his mother on the phone. He then told them wait a second, went back in the house and grabbed his cell phone. MIL didn't even realize he put the phone down and was still screaming. He put it on speaker so they could hear her, so they'd understand. And that, my dearies, is when she said, you should just go upstairs and punch your king wife in the face. So the cops wanted to make sure I was okay. I told them I was fine. My husband has never been abusive towards me, and I'm sorry that they wasted their time. I came inside and just sat in bed in disbelief. This woman that has such severe PTSD from being beat by her husband told her own son to hit me. We have been planning on moving out of state for some time now, and after my MIL's phone died and my husband finally came upstairs to apologize and told me not to worry because when we move he won't be telling her where we are going. I don't plan on telling my son about what she said or that the cops were here. and any last ounce of respect/love I had for her is gone.
Thank you to everyone that took the time to read this and respond. It will take me a little bit, but I plan on responding to all of you. Here's what I tell my kids about decisions. I can't tell you what is right or wrong for you to do in this situation. I can only tell you what I would do if it were me in your situation, but I have my own unique experiences coloring my decision. Whatever you choose to do, I will support your decision as the right one for you at this moment. No decision has to be final if you don't want it to be. Your son can put her on a temporary, 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, a year, whatever, time out and see how he feels after that and re-evaluate the situation and all of the factors he feels are pertinent to his NC. He has support and control here. He gets to establish the boundaries he wants to in order for him to feel a semblance of control and peace in his life after she chose to upend things. And yes, he can factor in her PTSD and possible brain damage after being abused, reasons, but not passes or excuses for what she did. His grandmother verbally assaulted him and got all up in his face over his saying he would defend himself from someone if they displayed similar behavior to her. She is so secure in her self-righteousness that she cannot hear anything anyone is trying to tell her on the subject. What she is doing is abusive, and your son has the right to protect himself from abuse. Support his choice and let him choose how long this NC is in effect. I have been so wrapped up in all the drama that I didn't even see it right in front of me what she did to him was abuse. Question: how in TF did she get his friend's number? Do not make him apologize for something he did not do. If he wants to cut her out, that is his decision to make. This is great advice, Op. I'm a nurse, we nurture and care, I can change him. That hit me because in a way this is the same thing, except it's emotional abuse. She couldn't change him. Y'all can't change her. Don't light your emotional houses on fire in hopes that you'll eventually feel some warmth. Let your son go NC and let him have some peace. This grown-ass woman tried to pick a fight, a physical fight, with your minor son and you're wondering if she should stay in his life BC she's his only grandparent. Really? You removed yourself out of a toxic relationship with her but want to. What, encourage a toxic relationship with your son? You should have taken him into NC in the first place. Yeah, I accept I dropped the ball there. There is no excuse for her behavior, and even if she is his only grandparent, in no way should he feel that he should maintain any contact with her if he doesn't want to. He chose NC, and I told him I support that 100%. Okay, but something happened to him. Jamil verbally attacked him in front of his friend because she misconstrued their conversation. Your son has nothing to apologize for. Your JustNoMil needs to apologize to him, his friend, and all of you for her behavior toward your son. Why is it that we often think we need to keep family in our life, just because something might happen to them and they might be gone? I think if you don't want insane behavior in your life, you cut the insane person out and that's it. Regardless of their family ties. And I think your son should have the opportunity to do the same if he wants. As you said, he's almost an adult, he can decide on his own if he wants her in his life. If he has a change of heart one day, that's up to him. But no one knows if that's happening or not. Nowhere in hell would I make him apologize for anything. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.